Hey, how's it going? It's Dan from modular.dev, and we're back. We're going to be working on the native file system API with Blazor and the combination we can do with SignalR. So let's go ahead and just kind of recap you on where we left off last time in case you didn't join us. So basically we have this application here. Let me bring up the code. And in this application we really only have one Blazor component, and that is the home page. So on that component we just have a text area and 3 buttons. One that opens a file, one that saves a file, and one that saves a new file. So that's pretty much it. These buttons then called a JavaScript function that we wrote. So in the www you can see the main.js here. And each of these functions calls into the native file system API. So the first one here, open file, is going to show the open file picker, and it's going to get a file that you've chosen, grab the text, and return that as a string. So then when it returns as a string, we can then update our text box area with that string to open up the file. So I'll just demonstrate that again. So if I open a file, and let's see here, I want a file that's in this folder. Let's try that again. Okay, so if I open this file, it opened the file and then put the text in the text box area. And now if I make a change, I can hit save file. It's going to pop open this save changes dialog here asking for permission, and as long as we give it permission we can save. And from then on we can edit as much as we want and continue to save, and it will continue to save automatically to our disk. We don't need to download the file each time, and we don't need to ask for permission every time. So it's great for an online text editor, that type of thing, and that's where we're at so far. So if you didn't join us in our other live stream where we were doing a chat application with SignalR, we explored how that could work. So I'm just going to bring that up just real quick so you can kind of see what happened with that. Hopefully it still works. Okay, let's see here. Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a problem. I tried updating it to the .NET 5 preview release, and there was something that I needed to do. So I guess first of all, I need to change this to Chrome Canary. And then second of all, let's see. There was some other thing I had to do. Let me see what that was. Something in the client project here. Oh yeah, you have to add these 2 things: runtime identifier browser WASM and use Blazor WebAssembly true. And then also, if you do want to publish this out someplace, you have to put this treat as local property runtime identifier. So let's see if that fixes it or not. Nope, it still isn't working. Let's see. Off the top of my head, I don't know what's wrong with it. The preview release just came out like yesterday, I think it was, or maybe 2 days ago. And I tried upgrading it, and it didn't quite work apparently. So I guess if you want to see what that does, go ahead and check out our previous video. But basically, it allows you to chat back and forth with another user using a WebSocket, which is handled by SignalR, which is a Microsoft framework, basically. So we're going to take some of that stuff that we learned with that project and use it in this this native file system one. So the first thing I want to do is in the native file system, looks like actually, shoot, when we created this, we did not give it a server side component. It's all Blazor WebAssembly. That's okay. Let's just create a brand new project and just copy a lot of this code over. There's not too much. So okay, let's go ahead and put this in a different folder here. Come on. All right. So last time we did not check the ASP.NET Core hosted, so that's why we don't have a server-side component to it. But that's okay. We'll just copy everything we have and paste it in the new one. So let me get the old one up again. All right, well, first thing we got to do is get rid of these two extra components. And we need to update the nav menu to not have those components as an option. And we also need to copy the old index.razor. So I'm just moving it over to this project here. And there was a JavaScript file, main.js. Okay, so if everything went fine, oh wait, we also need to add a reference to main.js here in the HTML. All right. So if we are correct, everything works the same. So that's good. So now what we need to do is create a SignalR connection on the server. And the first thing you're going to want to do is in the startup.cs, we need to add something here, services.addSignalR. All right, and then also we need to, let's see, we need to map a hub over here in the endpoints. Okay. Next thing, we need to make, well, let me just explain what we're doing here. So we're basically saying when SignalR, we're basically saying we're going to use SignalR and we're going to map it to this chat hub. And SignalR is nothing more than a framework to allow people to communicate back and forth in real time. It pushes data up to the browser as well as taking it from. So it's a two-way connection, kind of like a WebSocket. Actually, it probably uses WebSockets on the back end, I'm guessing. So I'm just going to copy this code from the Blazor chat application. Well, actually, no, we can just start over. And actually, it's not going to be chat hub. Let's call it something a little bit better. File hub, because what we want to do with it is we want to send files back and forth. So let's go ahead and add another function here. Public async task send message string message. Actually, it's going to be send file. All right. So somebody can call this method in SignalR, sending their new file, and we are going to send it to all of the connected clients. We want to do the other connected clients. We don't want to send it to ourselves. Receive file. So this code right here is just going to say, okay, we're receiving a file, and we're going to send it to everybody else. All right. So in the Blazor WebAssembly project now, we need to kind of subscribe to this. I'm going to do it here in the index.razor, but you could do it in the main layout as well. So let's go ahead and set that up. First thing we need to do is add a using statement here for Microsoft.ASP.NET Core /SignalR .client. Now we don't have this NuGet package, so let's go ahead and grab it. Okay, this looks like the right one. Do we want it? Probably don't want that one yet. We're not on .NET 5 for this, so we're just going to add that. And then let's see. We also need to create a hub connection in that same file. So in the code here, we'll declare a hub connection, and when we get inside this component, we want to do something. So protected override async on initialized async. This is the function that's going to get called when we come into this view. Come on. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to create that hub connection and listen for any messages. So again, I'm just going to copy this from the other project. I'll just explain what it's doing. Okay, so we're initializing hub connection here. Oh, we don't want to return. We're initializing hub connection here, and we are going to grab the endpoint of the hub connection. Now, we're using Navigation Manager here, and we never actually imported that. So let's inject Navigation Manager. All right, that looks good. And I think we don't need this app state thing because we're not using that. And this is going to be receive file, and it takes in a parameter of file, because if you remember in our hub, which I named file hub, but I guess I named the file itself chat hub, so I'm just going to update that real quick. We're calling it a receive file. That's what this SignalR method will call. So anybody listening to receive file will get a message. So we're just setting that up here. And that's going to take in a file, and we're going to do something with that file. Let's just update the text box with that file. So file content equals file, and state has changed. I think we're going to have to do that there. Okay. And let's see, we are not in an async method. We need to be. Okay. So we're overriding on initialized async. We are connecting to the hub. And this should be file hub. We're going to receive a file from it. We're going to whenever we receive a file, we're going to update the text. And then we're going to well, we're going to start the hub, basically. All right. So in order to send a file to somebody else, we're going to have a button that allows us to do that. So actually, you know what? I'm going to Well, let's make it a button for now. Send file. And this basically, when you click this button, it's going to send a message to the hub connection, telling all the other connected guests to grab that file, which right now is just text basically. But we could do something a little bit more advanced later if we want to. Anyways, let's go ahead and add this new file here, new function. So send file. On send file. We gotta update this down here as well. So here's what we're gonna do. We don't need to call JavaScript. What we need to do is we need to call the hub connection. Hub connection.send async, and we're gonna do what is the name of our function here? Send file. Send file, and we're gonna send file content. Okay. So I do need to make sure that I renamed it to file hub in my startup.cs. I probably didn't, so let's see. No. And this also needs to be file hub. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully it works. If you have any questions on any of that, I kind of sped through it because I covered it in more depth in the last video, or the last video series rather. Feel free to shoot me an email or not an email, a message in the comments, and we'll go over it. But yeah, for now, let's see if this works. We're basically setting up a connection to the chat hub or the file hub. I'm going to set a breakpoint in here just to see if it works. And yeah, we'll see how that works for now. Let's go ahead and also I'm going to turn off WebAssembly debugging. We don't need to do that. Just going to slow some things down. So I'm going to turn that off. Okay. Let's try it. Okay, let's I think IIS may be running or something, so I'm going to shut that down. Alright, let's try that. Unable to launch the configured, okay. It didn't shut down correctly. Okay, there it goes. Alright, so we're running it here. Let's make sure we don't get any errors in the console or anything like that. No, it looks good. Let's go ahead and also add another tab, and we'll try sending something to the other person. So let's just do something. Send file. And it did not work. So let's see what happened here. We did not even hit our breakpoint. Alright, let's see. I wonder if we got any errors in the console itself, or if this send file even worked, or even if the method even got called. So let's see. I'm just gonna write something out to the console. Console.writeLine before send. After send. Okay, let's see if we hit those. Come on. Unable. IS Express is having so many problems right now. Alright, let's just do it without debugging. Okay. guess I'm just going to try shutting this down and restarting it. Because I don't see anything in my IIS even running right now, so I don't know why I'd be having trouble connecting. Alright, there we go. So let's just look in the console, see if we hit any of those. Alright, so we hit before send and after send, but we're not hitting the actual method here. At least I don't think we are. Let's try it again. I wasn't debugging that time, so maybe we did. Oh, there it is. For some reason I've been having to click these buttons twice, and I'm not quite sure why that is. I think maybe I just only clicked it once before, but I don't know why I'd have to click it twice. Anyways, let's just go ahead and continue. So we were able to hit that breakpoint. Let's go ahead and now open up a different tab and try to send a file. Come on. Okay, we're able to send it over there now. So we got the file going back and forth from this user to this user, which is great. Now, I think also what I want to do, this is basically nothing more than a chat application though. So what would be cool is if they had an open file that they were working on and they received a message from somebody else, that it would actually overwrite the file they were working on. So let's go ahead and do that. To do that, I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to return something from these JavaScript functions. So when we open the file, we'll have to notice whether or not it opened successfully, and if so, then we can basically call the save file method because we have something. So let's go ahead, and when you're opening the file, I'm going to create a boolean here, bool file opened, and it starts off as false. And if when I'm opening a file, if file content is not string or null or white space, we're going to set file opened to, file content. We're going to set file opened to true. So this will kind of keep track of whether or not we have opened up a file or not. And then when we receive a message, I'll get rid of these console.write lines. When we receive a message, we can actually save the file. So I'm just going to call on save file. And now when we receive the message, it's going to just overwrite the file that we were working on, assuming that we had one opened. So if file opened, then we'll do this. Otherwise, we just won't do anything. All right, let's try that. And I'm actually kind of curious to see what happens here because it's going to be sending off a save without any kind of user interaction. So I'm kind of curious if the API even allows that. Okay, so we have this one here. We got another one. Let's go ahead and open a file in both. So this will be that one. This will be this one. And if I make a change here and I hit send file, did it work? Let's see. Oh yeah, those files are not in this folder anymore. They're in a different one. Let me grab those. just going to copy them over to this folder so we don't have to keep doing this. Okay. And I don't think it worked because I noticed it brought the text over, but it didn't actually save the file. I wonder, I don't see any kind of errors here though. So let me see, if we open up main.js and we kind of start debugging window.save file, if I hit it manually, it's going to work. But if I do it through this send file, is it going to work? Okay, now I think it is. I think maybe I had to just ask for permissions or something. So let's see. Oh, I still have the other files. Opened in here. Let's just refresh this. I grabbed the wrong ones. Alright, this one's going to have demo.txt. This one is going to have demo2.txt. And I'm going to just hit save file first, just in case it's a permission issue. So now let's go ahead and do this. We'll send that over. And did it save? That's the question. Let's see. Whoops. It did. Okay. Just going to clear some of this out so it's a little bit easier to see. So this one says hello worlds. This one's going to say hi. And I'm just going to hit save file on this one so we see it. So we see it here. The other one still has all this other junk in there, so let's go ahead and send this file over to the other screen. Okay, so now it's over here on the other tab. I'm going to close this down for now. And if that worked, it should have automatically saved the file. And you'll see that it has. So we're able to send files back and forth to each other and automatically save them to their computer, which is pretty cool. I want to see now, just to try it out, do we actually have to get permission first? So if we open a file, let's say demo here, and we open a different file, maybe demo2 here, and we make a change here, and we send that file over. It updates the text here, but I don't think it's actually going to save because we didn't ask for save permissions yet. So if I open, yeah, it still has that there. So in order for this to work correctly, we have to get save permissions first. So now if I hit save and I send them something else, it should, let's see. Yeah. If you get the permissions first, then you can save it. So I think probably that's because the user didn't have any kind of action that they took on the second tab. They didn't have any kind of action that would save that or for asking for permission for that. Technically, we probably still, let's see, we probably still came here. Let's just test it. Alright, so if we open up demo2, and on this tab, we send something. Alright, on this tab, we hit this breakpoint, but it didn't execute the rest of this code, and I'm thinking that's probably because we didn't ask for permission, so it's just kind of failing here. It's interesting we don't see an error or anything, but that must be what's going on. So let's go ahead and when the file changes, and we probably shouldn't be overwriting their files anyway. Maybe we should have some kind of a notification that says, hey, one of your files has changed. Do you want to update it? they would say yes, which would update it here and also save it to their system. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so at the top of this page, probably before this edit form, let's go ahead and create an area here. I'll just put it in a div. I don't know. I'll just put it in H2 file updated. You have received a new file. Update. And we'll put a button that says yes. And we'll put another one that says no. So if they click yes, we want to save that file. So we don't want to automatically overwrite it now. Let's see. We don't want to automatically overwrite this. Well, yeah, we don't want to automatically overwrite this right now. Let's go ahead and put another variable for bool show file notification. We'll default that to false, and we'll put another variable here for temporary file and set that equal to an empty string. So in here then, we're going to set temporary file equal to file. So whenever we receive something from SignalR, we're just going to set that to a temporary file. We're not going to overwrite their text box. But what we will do is we'll say notification, what was it? Show file notification equal to true. And we'll show this whole thing if notification file show not file notification is true. Alright, so if that's true, we're going to show this notification here. And then if they click this button, then we're going to do on save file. Well, we're actually going to do two things. Okay, just setting up the click event handler here. We're going to set file content equal to temporary file content, and then we're going to call on save file. And if they say no, well, actually, in either case, we're going to set show file notification equal to false to get this file notification thing out of the way. And let's put this button on a new line. Alright, so, and these are just Lambda functions if you've never seen those before. They're a little bit simpler way, that way I don't have to create a bunch of functions up here. Let's try it, huh? Alright, let's get rid of these two. Open up some new ones. So we're going to have demo 2 opened over here, and demo 1 over here. And let's try sending this file over to the other person. Okay, we have received a new file. Do you want to update? No. And now it just goes away. Let's try it again. You have received a new file. Let's update. There we go. Now it's asking for permissions. And now we can save it. So let's just double check and make sure that works. Yes. So there was definitely some permission issues there. I think it's because the user on the other tab did not make any he did not make any kind of click or any kind of action to let them know that they could be modifying that file in JavaScript. So that makes sense, right? You don't want to be automatically overriding people's things without their permissions. And how would they even know that they're asking for permissions if they didn't complete an action? So I think all this is good, safety procedures. But yeah, that's how we can do this. So we're sending a file over here, and let's send one back to this other person. Did that work? There we go. There we go. Now their files are in sync. And now that we have, now that we have permission, we should be able to send a new file. And as long as they say yes, now we don't have to ask for permissions anymore. But we did get, whoops, we did get that file updated. So we can have a system here where we're sending new files over SignalR using the native file system API to update their system with the new files. As long as you get the permissions, you should be good. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I think that's probably all I really want to do with this, to be honest. I think I'm going to do some Cosmos DB things soon, but probably the next live stream I'm going to do some overview of what came out with Blazor in Preview 7 and Preview 8. So I think that's where I want to go. So that'll be on Tuesday, and I kind of have a schedule now. I don't know if you saw it at the beginning, but Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific is when the streams will be. So I hope you can tune in and join in while we're live. And if not, you can still feel free to look on afterwards and go ahead and ask any questions in the comments. So as always, thanks for watching.